My name is Richard Holtorf. I'm the Washington County Farm Bureau President, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our 2016 Candidate Forum. This evening is co-sponsored by the Washington County Farm Bureau and the Washington County Republican Committee. As you move toward your seats, we'd like to honor our nation and the flag. So at this time, if you could stand up, the American flag is to my right, and we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Take your seats now. I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine, Rick Benish. He is the chairman of the Washington County Republican Committee, and he is going to go over some rules for this evening's event at this time.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Thank you for coming. We appreciate you being here. We are pleased to have participation of 3 of the county commissioner candidates and 2 Republican candidates for the House District 64. And we appreciate everyone who's made the effort to come out and join us tonight. We are looking forward to a friendly discussion of issues without any personal attacks or drama, like we see on the television each evening with the national political races this year. Because this is a very busy time of year and not everyone was able to be here tonight, we have arranged for this event to be recorded for the purpose of posting it online for people to access. We will have the link to share in just a few days. We want to extend a big thank you to Jeremy Weathers, Stormy Productions, TV of Yuma, for providing the services for us. Tonight's forum is a fairly structured event with the candidates first providing an opening statement, followed by a series of questions for each set of candidates. We have already prepared several questions for the candidates to address some of the key issues identified. If anyone has a question tonight for the candidates, we ask you to write the question on a card and submit it in the next 5 minutes. These questions will be reviewed by the moderators and the staff looking for issues not already being addressed. The last segment will be a time for each candidate to make a closing statement. We will then adjourn for formal presentation, allow some time for you to visit one-on-one with the candidates and enjoy some of the refreshments. We will begin with the county commissioners. Do you want to introduce your staff?
Before we get started, a couple things. The commissioners were given questions ahead of time that were submitted to the Washington County Republican Committee. They have those questions. We're going to, of course, start with those. Then the questions that you submit, if you'd be kind enough to go to the back of the room and write those questions on the paper that's available. And the secretary of both the County Farm Bureau and the Washington County Republican Committee will get those collated and bring those up to us, and we will begin those questions, of course, after we go through the first set of questions. Before we get started, I'd really quickly like to introduce the County Farm Bureau staff. I'll start over here. Mike Koch, if you'd stand up. Mike, we've got Dustin and Jenny Kester, if you'd both stand up. Dustin's going to be our timer this evening. We're going to try to keep this tight with a 3-minute window. So he's got some cards there that you'll get to see when you're prompted to kind of keep time. Let's see, Derek and Noel, where are you folks at? I know I saw you here. Okay, right there. That's your County Farm Bureau Board of Directors, and we've got a lot of young folks with a lot of energy, and I'm really proud of them. This time I'll hand it over to Rick so he can introduce your County Republican Committee.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce, where you at? Cliff Fletcher, who is the vice chair. There he is in the back, and Giselle Jefferson is also in the back as the secretary, and I'm the chair for the Washington County Republicans. So again, on behalf of everyone, we thank you for being here tonight, and I think we're ready to start. Need the questions. Let me see those right there. Thank you. We are going to start with the commissioners. First question that we have on county employees. How would you develop and retain long-term and high-quality county employees? What evaluation and incentive program would you propose? And we'll start with Mr. Foy and work our way down.
Of course, the most important part of making any system work is the employees that do the actual work. So we're always trying to find ways and encouraging employees to stay and develop themselves as much as possible, develop their expertise at whatever it is. We have blips in the chart every once in a while when things like the big oil spurge happened here 3 or 4 years ago. At both the Justice Center and the Sheriff's Department and the County Road and Bridge, we had people that moved on to take jobs in the oil field industries. And so we struggled through that, but we've worked through it, and once again, we've got the same system going, where we have the older employees, hopefully, educating some of the younger employees about how to do the jobs and how to do it efficiently and stuff like that. So we're really interested in long-term development of employees, and it's really important that they have that institutional knowledge so that they can bring that back to the other employees. And that's the way it is in all of the positions we have, even the positions in the courthouse and stuff, is the institutional knowledge that they have to help bring the system to be more efficient. It's the same way with the elected officials, is the institutional knowledge that we have that we can impart to the employees and to making the system better. So our deal is training and encouragement. There's only so many of the top jobs that's available. We understand that in a small county especially, but encourage people to always be looking to, when the opportunities present themselves, to move up into the system. So we're really interested in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Leyburn?
Thank you. Most citizens do not realize that as a commissioner, I am only responsible for the employees who report directly to the Board of County Commissioners. We have no supervisory control over the employees in other elected offices such as the sheriff or the clerk. As a board, we have attempted to streamline our departments and provide all necessary training to assure those employees under our direction have successful careers. We also strive to ensure good and decent wages and benefits and annual salary increases for our valued employees. For our employees, we provide great medical, mandatory retirement plans, offer training programs, and our turnover is almost non-existent.
Mr. Peoples?
Hello. I come from the private sector, and my experience has been both sides of the fence. I have worked in some extremely energetic, high-valued, oriented work where you were rewarded for what you did, not just in monetary stances, but you were always patted on the back. People always came to you and said, you know, we really love the work you're giving us, the value you're giving us, and that was always really big to have a positive atmosphere. So first of all, I build off the positive side of it. I've also worked in a very negative atmosphere that is extremely toxic and it's infectious, and those are the types of atmospheres that I personally steer away from. I think that we can promote a positive atmosphere for all the people in the county, and the people I've met have a lot of great things to say, and I think they work really, really hard, and I would like to see, as some of the others have said, some retention programs that would include training, and I'm all about providing training in technology and various different areas that can get people up to a point where they can move on to something else if they want, and what that does is open up a job for somebody else as they come in. But I think overall, the respect and the care that we can all put, whether we manage these people ourselves directly or not, the positive attitude is the way to go to get started, and then find out what people need and what their likes and dislikes are and what their goals are, and define that. It's a hard task to do sometimes, but I think it's well worth for everybody's benefit to do so. Thank you.
So I just noticed that we were going to do opening statements first, and we jumped right into the questions, the eagerness to get into the depth and breadth of the questions. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk over and hand the mic. If I just ask you to stand up, and we'll try to capture these opening statements because we kind of got ahead of ourselves in our eagerness to get after these hard questions. So I'm going to start right here with Dave, and if you just stand up and then pass the microphone to your left.
Okay, I'll introduce myself for those of you who do not know me. My name is David Foy. I serve as the Washington County Commissioner from District 2, which is the Otis area. I am very enthusiastic about Washington County. There's some tremendous things that's going on in Washington County. We're building a new nursing home, as an example. There is a group of individuals that are working at putting up a new memorial building at the fairgrounds, which will be a livestock pavilion. Don't know when that will ever happen, but eventually it will happen, I presume. We're also have a very sound step and grade system for the employees and moving through it. We've been able to give the employees between a 2 and a 2.5% increase on the average pay increase over the last 5 or 6 years at least. We've got an excellent benefits package. So I'm just really excited to be your county commissioner and to represent you at the events that I do represent you in, and all the way from health care to senior care to child care.
Good evening, I'm Leanne Laybourne, and I'm running for Washington County Commissioner, District 3. Thank you to the Washington County Farm Bureau and to the Washington County Central Committee for holding this forum this evening. I have truly enjoyed being your commissioner. Washington County has been stands in my home for 6 generations. It has offered our family tremendous opportunities. I want my children and grandchildren to have the same quality of life that we have enjoyed. I've always been committed to Washington County, ensuring she remains safe and viable county for which we can all be proud of. There are many challenges and responsibilities that accompany tough economic times. We live in a great county, and I will always strive to maintain not only a balanced budget, but a budget with carryovers. Within that budget, I seek to preserve our conservative values and by not raising taxes. I have never approved a tax increase during my term of office. As a Christian, conservative Republican, I believe the role of county commissioner is to be a responsible steward of the county's resources and provide all of Washington County citizens the highest possible level of services. As I stated above, Washington County is our home, and I've always been proud to say that I am from Washington County. I have served this county for 40 years on various boards, as well as purchasing, working, and worshiping locally. I will represent you to the best of my ability and protect our way of life for you, your parents, your children, and grandchildren. Because of this, I am running for re-election for Washington County Commissioner District 3. I humbly ask for your support and vote in the upcoming primary election. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Bill Peoples. I have lived in the Anton area for 13 years now. My wife's family comes from this area and homesteaded back several years in farm. I've come from the private sector. I've worked in technical positions my better part of my life. Working within the technical field, I was in telecommunications and network administration, as well as radios, wide area network, satellite, you name it. I've done a lot of this kind of work, but within this work I had a lot of government regulations that I had to run through. I had to maintain a very strict budget every time I put something up, and everything that I did required adhering to budgets. I was always under budget, and our department was virtually under everything that we did. It's been a positive experience through my life, and I've gained a lot of business experience from it. And I look forward to the opportunity to becoming a county commissioner if given that ability, that I could bring a new set of ideas to the county for development. I'm a conservative Republican. I'm a Christian. I have a family two young kids that go to Rickery School. I'm insane when it comes to high school and junior high sports. I love the sports out here. It's absolutely phenomenal, and anybody that's ever not grown up in eastern Colorado has no idea just how fun going to the basketball, football, volleyball games and to the track meets can be. And that's a big passion of mine. But I thank you for the time tonight, and I ask you as well for your vote if you feel led so. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that little curveball. I know you got questions sent to you. We've also had some questions submitted this evening. So what we're going to do is during the program, Rick or I will introduce that question to you. We're going to tell you what the question is, have you have an opportunity to jot that down. We'll also pass the card past you, both for the commissioner candidates and the state house candidates. And then you can take a look at that card and formulate your thoughts while we're going through the evening. That gives you a little time to think about it, as some of these questions have been turned in this evening. Okay, the next question I'm going to offer to the candidates, the commissioner candidates at this time, is a transparency question. It's been a big theme this cycle, and the question is, how as a county commissioner would you inform the public on costs and services of present and future capital construction projects, such as the Green Homes Nursing Facility? If you'd like to come up, David, we'll just go in the same order, unless you get tired of being first, and then we'll change the order.
Okay. Well, transparency is really a big catchword all across the political scheme and has been for a long time. And quite frankly, it's something that our Board of Commissioners have talked about since I've been on the Board of Commissioners. How do we get the information from that commissioner's office out to everybody else? We're always willing to meet with either one of the two newspapers if they come over and interview us. I have no problem with that at all. I also, once a month, the first Wednesday of every month, spend at 8:35 at least 10 to 15 minutes on KSIR radio being interviewed and trying to get out the information. I love to talk about it, and there's a lot of things to talk about that are impacting Washington County. All the way from, yes, building a new facility such as the nursing home, which I'll address right now, is we've been working on that for about 5 years, and I happen to have a little frog in my throat. I've been up in Greeley with my mother, who's been in the hospital up there since Sunday. And I don't know what's happened up there. I think it's probably the allergies, but I've sure been having a frog in my throat. But anyway, with that particular deal on the Greenhouse nursing home, we went through public hearings. We actually started out with 3 of the groups in Washington County that we have as appointed people, which are the Land Use Commission, the Fair Board, and the Nursing Home Authority Advisory Board, to come in, and we presented the information that we had at the beginning of what we had in mind and could possibly do. And they turned and said, no, that didn't look good, all of these things. And so our goal has been to make it so that the Washington County citizens are not influenced or inundated with the long-term taxes. And we've done that. There's no property tax going into the Greenhouse nursing home. It's financed another way, which is extraordinarily complex, I have to admit. The next thing is the transparency of building the next building would be the memorial building at the fairgrounds. As I said in my opening statement, a group of citizens are trying to put together, and they put together $100,000 or a little more to be used as a match for a Great Outdoors Colorado grant, which the similar building has been successfully applied for and received in other areas. They basically are telling us we have to just wait our time till our time comes up, because it's sort of in a pecking order. And that thing will follow the rules of the Great Outdoors Colorado and their rules for transparency all the way through. So we struggle with transparency. Any opportunity I get to talk about Washington County in front of the senior citizens or the senior citizen groups, I'm willing to do. So transparency is there. Ask a question and you'll get an answer. Thank you.
As one of 3 board members, I would continue to post our meeting agendas, and we're talking about transparency, hold public hearings, and attend the meetings that I have been attending and giving the reports to those groups that I continue to meet with. The Board of County Commissioner meetings are always open to the public, and people are welcome to come and ask questions at any time, whether the project has been, is being, or is in the initial stages, like the memorial building at the fairgrounds. No decisions can be made outside a posted public meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Everything that happens requires expenditures of funds held by the county requires a vote of the Board of County Commissioners. Those revenues and expenditures are very transparent in that they are published in the papers monthly, and all county funds are audited on a yearly basis. Those audit reports are always open to the public as open records and can be requested at any time, the same as any revenue or expenditure that takes place during the year.
I want to make mine a little shorter here. I have had no experience in Washington County posting budgets and results, but what I will say is that I think improvements to our website would help to have a good document that could be read that doesn't make your head explode looking for days to look at, because honestly, I don't know about you, but a lot of people can look through numbers, and if it's not kind of drawn out into a fashion that kind of gets the bullet points down where you have it concise to where you kind of get a gist of what's going on, you can dig deeper if you want to. But I would like to see some improvements to the website. I think we've kind of come to that age where in addition to the newspapers, we could use Twitter, Facebook, and some other medias where we could post some of this information and it would be out there and people could join as they want and see what they want. I will say, I think everything has been, that I've seen is obtainable. The big question is, it's not always easy to read. And that's nobody's fault, it just is what it is. But that's my view.
At this time, I want to hand these 2 questions that we have for you so you guys can take a chance to look at them and pass them back when you get a chance. Well, you know, I don't know if it's just been being out in the heat today or whether it's hot in here, but we do need to take and read the letter that Mr. Wilkie could not be here tonight. He sent a letter to be read, and we do want to read that letter at this time. Good evening. Due to the previous commitments, I am unable to attend this evening's forum. As I stated at the County Assembly, I believe nearly every person at some point in their life is presented with the opportunity to make themselves available to serve publicly in a capacity that meshes well with their strengths and abilities. If elected, my focus will be on the internal affairs of this county. This includes all areas being discussed this evening: infrastructure, healthcare facilities, employee retention, law enforcement. We need a plan, we need a strategy, and we need the efficiency to provide the services this county deserves. Leadership must provide a clear vision of how this should look and how this should be accomplished. Without a vision and without a goal, there is no direction. As with all issues, we need to stand back to get a clear perspective of the whole picture in order to see what needs to be fixed or enhanced when a plan is devised. On fact that is clearly important becomes evident, and action can be taken decisively and appropriately. I will rely on the same values and skills that enabled me to build a successful agriculture operation here in Washington County to find useful, workable solutions to the issues we face. I do not know all the facts, details surrounding some of the issues being discussed this evening. To present a plan to fix or enhance any of these issues without the proper information would be inappropriate and unfair for the incumbent candidates. I believe accountability, transparency are paramount to good leadership. You cannot separate accountability from your actions, and you cannot separate transparency from your decisions. If a person expects to achieve true leadership, there must be a very small gap between what you are thinking and saying and what you actually do. How do you inform the public on financial matters such as the Green Homes Nursing Facility or, for that matter, any county business?
You tell the truth, no secrets, no hedging or dodging. Take responsibility, say what needs to be said with care and respect. To circumvent the intent of the law or the intent of the voters do not serve this county well. Several of the questions presented this evening will be moved forward by best private enterprise and not by government intervention or regulation. Thank you, Leland T. Wilkie. The next question that we have brought up is the marijuana question. As you know, it's a big issue throughout the state, also within the local county. How do you address the unlicensed marijuana growers in this and other counties, not paying taxes and abiding by state laws? How would you address the marijuana-laced edibles affecting our minor children in Washington County schools and the communities? Leanne, we'll let you start.
In the last term, if you remember, we placed a recreational marijuana ban on all aspects of growing, selling, and so on in Washington County. It passed as well as the dispensary ban 2 years prior. Many people do not understand that we cannot regulate medical marijuana providers as they are exempted from any county control by state law. That is why if we have a legal grower in the county and he is licensed by the state as a medical provider, we can't touch his operation. As to any other marijuana issues brought to our attention, we immediately notify the elected sheriff and the district attorney and have done so in the past.
I'm not too far off of that. This is obviously a law enforcement issue. If you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law, and it's clearly, the law is pretty clear whether we like it or not. There are regulations against growing marijuana within the town of Akron, and some other things in the works right now. I would defer that to the legislators and the people that are working with the city of Akron and with attorneys to come up with a plan for that.
So there's two constitutional amendments in that the voters of the state of Colorado have passed. One had to do with medical marijuana, which was passed like a decade ago. And then, of course, the other one on recreational marijuana, which was passed recently. At about the same time, as Leanne had alluded to, we submitted to you, the voters, a question as an ordinance for Washington County that would preclude for the selling, the raising, the selling, or the infusion of marijuana into other products, and you passed it by over 60% vote. So Washington County has that ordinance on the books. One thing that's happened since then is that the state legislature has modified some of the rules that they had, which then went back and slightly changed some of that. And all it is on the quantity of, which isn't a minor thing, but on the amount of marijuana that one individual can grow for themselves only, which is still legal in the state of Colorado, unfortunately. As for being opposed or anything else, I helped start Healing Tree Addiction Solution for the same 10 county or the 7 county regions of the district attorney's office, and so that we could get treatment for people that are on drug and alcohol abuse. One of the things that we'd been pushing it all the time was that marijuana, in our opinion, was a gateway drug. There's a lot of information coming from Europe that says that it is. It can lead to other drugs, so we were trying to find very hard to find ways in which we could bring treatment facilities and individuals out to northeastern Colorado to help people that have drug and alcohol problems. The state law that the voters of the state of Colorado passed in those 2 constitutional amendments pretty much shot down a lot of the work we were doing with marijuana. We continue to work with other things with Centennial Mental Health, who's kind of our grandparent or mother or father or whatever you want to call it for the Healing Tree Addiction Solutions. So it's, if you have a marijuana question, you really need to take it to the law officials, and we take it, as Leanne said, we take it to them when we ask a question about something we hear in the community. And so, the sheriff, to defend the sheriff here just a little bit, says that if he takes it to the district attorney on marijuana, the district attorney is far too busy to really get too concerned about marijuana, which is so widely accepted across the state. So, but the infusion of products with grade school kids, I have not heard that in Washington County. I don't know whether the sheriff has heard about that in Washington County, but I would take that as a very serious deal, and probably sometime when the sheriff comes over to meet with us about the many issues that's on his plate, we'll probably ask him the question about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to move into another question, and Bill, I'm going to put you on the hot seat first since we've kind of started shifting to the right. This question is about the nursing home. Do you see the financial obligations of the new nursing home facility meeting or exceeding the proposed budgetary projections in the next 5 years?
As far as the nursing home is concerned, I would need to dig deeper to see the actual financial side of it. My view is that it will continue to get more expensive every year as healthcare and the services provided will continually go up. I'm a little disappointed that there are fundraisers to provide necessary furniture and some other things for the nursing home. I just think it's a very expensive proposition. We need a nursing home. There's no doubt about that. The nursing home is very important to the entire county. But I am concerned with the numbers, and it would be something that I would want to really look into to see where we're at, to make sure we're on track and that we can make some adjustments as needed to make sure that we can keep moving forward with an affordable product.
The Washington County Nursing Home will, according to 3 separate pro formas that were performed on the books and the ability of the institution to fund itself, all show that it's capable of doing it. What we have is a loan that we're paying less than 1% interest on for 7 years, interest only, no principal payments. At the end of 7 years, that loan collapses in upon itself, and the end result is that Washington County will actually be given between $2 and $2.5 million out of the monies that's generated to put towards paying down the loan of the nursing home. At the end of 7 years, we'll still owe money on the nursing home. At this point, if we had to make a decision today, I believe we would take and do a lease purchase, the same as we've done to the Justice Center, which means that the taxpayers of Washington County will be not at any risk on their property taxes paying for it. It's a very complicated funding method. The new market tax credits was made available by the federal government in the 1990s, and what it is large companies, to get tax credits on their income taxes, are put monies up into a slush fund that's made out available to certain banks and other institutions like Chase Bank, which is part of the partners we have, put that money in together for philanthropic purposes, and that's what it is. All the projections on it show that the nursing home operations can take care of the interest payments and continue to pay for its own operational expenses as it is today. Thank you.
Well, I do want to reiterate a little bit about the 5 years that you asked on the question. It is actually 7 years that we are committed to. Financial obligation to be met for the nursing homes is to pay the required interest only set forth in the new market tax credit financing structure, and that is a federal program. The other obligation the county has are to the residents of the nursing home by providing the best care in a setting where they have dignity, respect, and the ability to make decisions around their daily activities, and to continue to operate the home as we have ever since the decision was made by former Board of County Commissioners to take over the management and operation of the nursing home. The operations, it showed in our performance, will be able to take these financial obligations and pay off the loan. We were also awarded grants from the Colorado Division of Housing, Colorado Health Care Foundation, and Weinberg Foundation, and those of private citizens. Thank you.
And my paper is gone. The next question that we have
That's why I'm here.
is economical growth. As a county commissioner, how would you promote the economical growth and prosperity in Washington County? Bill, I think we'll let you address that one first.
I think our county needs and deserves more economic growth. I think there's business opportunities for various different sizes and types of businesses to come into the area. I particularly have a soft spot for the airport because my experience has shown that there's a lot of demand for airport facilities for maintenance, rebuilding of aircraft parts, whatnot. I know there's some things that they have going right now, but there's several opportunities out there. I've looked at the thoughts of possibly having it be a central shipping terminal. I understand that UPS had done something with this earlier in time, but I think that there's a lot of possibilities for a facility like that, and I think it deserves some attention and some ideas. May not happen overnight, but those are the kind of things that we need to look at. We need more tax revenue to the tax base to the economy. That will help with the services that we provide and to sustain nursing homes and various other projects that we have in the community to meet community needs. But I just think there's a lot of potential out there for small towns. People are wanting to take business out of the large areas. When you've got an airport, that's a big plus for a lot of different types of companies and things you may not even imagine. Thank you.
Economic development, in each of the 5 counties around us, the way they do that is, and Washington County tried this a number of years ago, like 15 years ago maybe, is they form corporations, economic development corporations, and it's not run by the county commissioners per se. The county is asked to donate money to the corporation, just like banks, businesses on Main Street that are members, and these corporations then go out and do all of this solicitation of potential businesses to come into a community. Washington County has a title for one person to be the economic development director. The way we've done this, we've been trying to, without increasing taxes, we just don't want to increase anybody's taxes, and the budget, the way it is today, is equally and evenly divided so that we're providing as much benefit to the citizens of Washington County and the services that are there. So are we doing economic development for Washington County? Absolutely we are. The Justice Center, running almost 200 inmates a day, is generating a lot of economic development for the county because he's having to keep trying to find people to come there to work, constantly looking for people to come there to work. And so as people migrate back and forth between the separate entities of the Sheriff's Department and the Justice Center, which are separate entities because the Justice Center is an enterprise and the sheriff is under county government. So he creates a lot of economic development for the county out there in that complex, both through the sheriffs and the deputies that they have and the people that they have to hire, and then through the Justice Center all the way from guards, transportation officials, cooks, the medical people that are out there. The same is true for the nursing home. We hire about 45 people to work in the nursing home now. So if we increase the size of the nursing home by the anticipated 5 to 10 people necessary to have the percents up where we want it, we're going to have more FTEs as demanded by state regulations per number of people in the nursing home. So we will hire more people for that. So there is economic development that the county is overseeing. We've just recently come up with a tilt-a-whirl for the fairgrounds, and hopefully bringing more people in. And it's sort of amazing how many people from outside of Washington County come to our county fair because they say, it's the only place I can bring my kids. We've had people from as far away as Greeley come out there to ride those carnival rides. That's why it's so important to us. So economic development in Washington County is not large, great big businesses per se, but it's us steady and keeping our nose to the grindstone and trying to, one person at a time is very important to this county if we can increase the workforce that way. Thank you very much.
Just like our streamlined housing land use procedure, we foster all business and economic developments with a similar fast-track approval. Not many citizens know that any and all economic projects are usually approved within 1 month after receiving the completed application. For example, we have approved wind farms, pipelines, dairy farms, and free-range chicken operations, all within this 1-month timeline. These projects create jobs, and in relation to pipelines or wind farms, benefit the citizens that allow them to traverse their property. We require that all such companies get approval from landowners and have never condemned anyone's property for such projects. The same is true for telecommunication projects, and just several years ago approved a system that increased data usage in District 3 through the Plains Telephone Company. Washington County is one of the largest employers in Washington County. We employ 140 plus, and our goal is to retain these valued employees with competitive wages and benefits.
We're going to move to the next topic, which is housing, which goes right in line with economic growth and growth in general. The question is, as county commissioner, how would you address the housing shortage in our county? And I'm going to start right over here. I'm going to actually let you folks stand up to get through the questions a little faster. So any volunteers? Start over here with Bill.
I believe in free market, and I believe that if we can bring economic growth to the county, which is some economic growth coming to the county, houses will be built, and people will be able to provide funding for homes. I really don't know if we have, and I'm going to pose this as a question to people to think about, if we have the room within the city limits, for instance, of Akron, to provide a housing development, if there was any government provided. I personally believe in free market, and I think if the jobs are there and the jobs are decent, then people will be able to build their homes. And that'll open up homes for people that move from home to home. It's kind of works that way in my mind.
I am proud to say that I welcome all new housing in the county. Unlike even our neighboring counties, the total cost for subdividing land in the county is $125. Wow. Our system allows parents or persons who want to sell their land to others to complete the planning process within usually 1 month, and this system has been very successful in adding to our citizenry. In addition, during my term, we purchased Pioneer Haven to provide low-cost rentals for qualified individuals, and I would support such projects in the future. Most municipalities have a housing authority. They may seek options for housing in their communities with the help of grants and community meetings, and they are available for development.
There are several housing authorities that's available in northeastern Colorado. In fact, there is a Northeast Colorado Housing Authority that's in Fort Morgan, and they are responsible for all 6 counties, again, in northeastern Colorado, and work very closely with Washington County. Sharon Helms is the lady's name over there. I've communicated with her a bunch. She's helped us very much when we were out purchasing Pioneer Haven from the town of Akron when Pioneer Haven got into some financial trouble. So there's the housing right there that the county finally went in and bought. The nursing home had the money from a profitable several years that we could go to work and buy that Pioneer Haven for low-income housing. There's 20 units there. It's inside the town of Akron. One thing we have to be very careful about, once again, this is Washington County. We're not going to go into Akron and tell Akron to build housing. We're not going to go into Otis and tell Otis to build housing. However, being a resourceful individual, I would be very willing to work with both the town of Akron and the town of Otis and anybody else out in the county with the USDA rural development, because there are some programs out there that make available for low-income housing if that all comes together. It's really tough for county or for local governments to participate in that because of the Tabor limitations, however. So in the towns, I hear this, that we don't necessarily have a shortage of housing, we have a shortage of low-income housing. I don't know, but I'm not, like I said a minute ago, I'm not going to go tell the town of Otis, and I'm not going to go tell the town of Akron how to run their business. If there is a housing development that wants to come into Washington County, the process that Leanne explained a minute ago, going through the land use plans and all of that with the Washington County, we would participate with them. And if we had to help them through certain things, like with USDA Rural Development, we're very happy to do that type of thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Could you pass the mic on down to Leanne? Leanne, we'll let you take the next question. The next question we have is on daycare. How would you promote more licensed daycare facilities and/or daycare homes to encourage more parents to be gainfully employed in terms of financial survival of the daycare facilities? How would you address the financial challenges of meeting obligations and having competitive wages and benefits for the employees with an ever-flexing of children needing services?
The Board of County Commissioners is and will always promote quality daycare facilities within our county. Quality daycare and employment go hand in hand. If parents know their children are getting quality daycare, they are more than likely to stay employed. The Board of County Commissioners has a responsibility to promote quality daycare because having daycare available prevents constituents from getting on and collecting services offered by the Department of Health and Human Services. Basically trying to keep families away from welfare. Because of the heavy regulatory manner of daycare, it may be necessary for the Department of Health and Human Services to get involved and offset some of the overhead burdens for daycares so they can make it financially. And we have discussed this. In fact, it was just last week. One example would be to go out and purchase other counties' TANF dollars. TANF stands for Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. Those dollars for pennies on the dollar to invest into local daycares. For example, 7 years ago when I was on the board, DHS purchased $750,000 for $7,500 to upgrade all the Washington County School District's computer labs. A small investment for a big return. The same could be done for the daycare centers in Washington County. TANF dollars could be used for children's tuition.
Bill, would you like to?
Thank you. I think first and foremost, we need to get out and find out how many interested parties are out there in the Otis and Akron area, for instance, that are interested in providing daycare. And if that is the case, I agree with much as what's been said. I think we could facilitate some training and some seminars and some mentoring that would assist people to get into it. We've had 2 kids. I've got twins, and I have older kids that I raised on my own, and it was a house payment to put kids in daycare. So you struggled with being able to pay your bills and pay your house payment, or, you know, staying home with the kids and coming up with the money to do that. I agree, the entitlements are far more expensive to service than it is private business. This is another economic opportunity for the area to provide jobs for people, and I think it would be a very good effort in that respect.
Daycare. we've actually worked a number of ideas over the last 5 or 6 years, all the way from the County Express bus transporting children from Otis and, quite honestly, Brush back down to Akron. Akron has a daycare center, ABC's, which is not affiliated with the county. And they've got about 70 slots there that they could, if they had enough employees help, that they could handle up to 70 children. It kind of depends upon the age of the children, because there's different rules and requirements for infants all the way up through toddlers and then older. So, but that was just an idea that we kicked around and tried to get some people interested in coming to the ABC's thing in Akron. As Leanne spoke about, there's through the Washington County Health and Human Services, which is a separate board that the Board of County Commissioners sets on. We have instructed the Executive Director, Rick Egan, to take a look at, when she said the TANF dollars, there's also a problem or a question that Terry had addressed this very last Tuesday, I believe, up at this summer conference. There's a rule out there that says an administrator of a daycare center has to spend 60% of their time in that daycare. Well, that means that they can only do one daycare. And if we have small daycares up and down Highway 34 as an example, how about if we co-opt and like 4 daycares hired 2 administrators and shared that expense, but make it so the regulation wasn't that they have to spend 60% of their time at each of the daycare centers. And so there may be some legislation that we're going to be asking for through this next legislative session to modify that rule a little bit to help small counties. We've heard of daycare problems all the way from the grassroots clear to Julesburg to Haxton into Sterling to Fort Morgan, and we have in Akron had a daycare problem there of having enough dollars to make the system really work efficiently. But it's not a county's so far responsibility to, we're not going to go in and take over ABCs. They have their own board of directors, they have their own ownership, and they're progressing on their own, but we are willing to help them to a degree. And especially with as much money as we have. And Leanne made an excellent point with the TANF dollars, which are kind of unique dollars in social work. All right, thank you very much.
So as we suspected when we were developing the forum, the time allotted for the county commissioners is quickly expiring. So what I'd like to do, there's 3 questions that we haven't asked yet, but I don't want to let the candidates off the hook. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to read the questions, and then all of you, some of you submitted these questions this evening, either at a break or better yet at the end of this forum, there's going to be a time to visit with the candidates. You can bring these questions up and ask for their positions on these remaining questions. And there's a method to our madness this evening. We have the House District representatives at the end because we want them to listen to the problems at the local and the county level. It's very important that they understand that rural America has some very important needs, and they're the conduit for getting these things addressed at the state level. And there are some things legislatively that can be done to help influence or perhaps improve our situation in counties like Washington County and others that are very similar to our county. So at this time, I'm going to read the remaining questions. We don't have time to ask for answers, so you're off the hook at this time for the answers, but you may be asked by the general public during the break or at the end for your input on that. So here's the first question that we didn't get to. It's a road and bridge question. There is a general consensus that the quality and network of county roads have deteriorated over the past 20 years. What would your plan be to improve the county road network in Washington County during your upcoming 4-year term as a county commissioner? That's the first question we did not get to. I have 2 more questions. These 2 were submitted this evening. For the county commissioners, what is your vision for the county in future years on rural development and health care? I know we've talked about some of these issues, But that was a question submitted this evening. And the last question that we have here is, what importance, if any, do you believe institutional memory plays in the management of local government? That's a difficult question. I'll let you ponder that one, and whoever wrote the question and submitted it can surely visit with the commissioners at the end of the forum. Okay, those are the questions that we didn't get to. Everyone has heard those. At this time, I just have a few Farm Bureau guests. I'd like to ask you just to quickly stand up and raise your hand. The Colorado Farm Bureau staff is very supportive of Washington County Farm Bureau as a federation. We appreciate that. I want to introduce Sean Martini. He's the Vice President for Advocacy. Sean, I saw you earlier this evening. Thanks for coming. Emily Ibach, Director of Public Policy and State Affairs. I know you're here. Thank you for coming. Crystal Frank is District 1 and 2 Regional Manager. Crystal, I know you're here with your husband and your little baby, so thanks for coming and thanks for the support you give our county. Mark Arnish is our District 2 State Board Member. Mark from Prospect Valley in Morgan County, very dynamic individual, and I thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming to our meetings. Alan, I think you're here as well. Is Alan here? Alan Fouts, former State Vice President, State President, and currently he is the representative for U.S. Senator Cory Gardner. He's here this evening. Josh Sonnenberg, representative for U.S. Senator Ken Buck. Where are you at? I know I saw you with your cowboy hat. You took your cowboy hat off? No, put your cowboy hat back on. No, so if you have questions for your federal senator or House of Representatives, those are the people that you touch, and ask them the hard questions and see if they can get you those important answers at the federal level. And then Luke Schultz, I know you're here. He's Morgan County Farm Bureau Insurance Agent, and he's here and has been very supportive of Washington County, working that southwest and west part of the county. So thanks for coming to those people. At this time, we're going to take a quick break, a 5-minute break. I've been told it's a little hot in here. We have refreshments over here. If you need to use the restroom, please use the restroom. And if you want to try to tackle a candidate, if you see them move, you can visit with them. Thank you.